Hello, and welcome to Chapter 10 of my book, Gloria, the Story of a Woman. Now, I have been going through my life as far as what was happening in my life. However, today I want to do something a little different. I became a chameleon, so to speak. I was a different person wherever I was. And when I got out of the home, out of the structure that was so strict, and out of the arguing and the fighting and everything else that was going on, I became a very happy child, believe it or not. I loved school. School was my sanctuary. School was my getaway. I loved my teachers. I loved everybody. I had my little best friend down the way from me. Her home was wonderful, and when I would go in there, I would feel so different. So what I want to do today is go back over a little bit of my childhood and tell y'all some things that made me really, really happy. I don't want to delve on the other things that made me unhappy, because that's, to me, it's old hat, it's forgotten, I'm past it. So what I want to do is share with y'all some of the things that you younger people have no idea about, because you've always lived with different things. But I grew up in a time where there was no phones, no grocery stores, nothing. Now, what I did have and what we loved, two things that we had that I dearly loved. One was the ice cream man. Now, it wasn't a truck. It was a man. He had himself a little cart. He had on a little white jacket and a little white hat, and he pushed this cart, and down in this cart, it was just a square cart on wheels, and he would push it, and undoubtedly down in that was dry ice and ice cream. Now, he had a little bell hanging on his handle that he would ring and ring and ring, and of course, us children, man, we were in tune. We were like a dog with a dog whistle. Oh my God, you could blow that whistle and the dog would hear it from miles away. We heard that bells from miles away. In the house we'd go, begging for a nickel. It was only a nickel. Please, let me get an ice cream, because all the other kids were getting it, and they were all around the truck, and I'm thinking, oh, he's going to get the best ice cream, and I'm not going to get the kind I want, and yada, yada, yada. So I was first in that door, and I was pretty quick. I was first in that door to get my nickel and back out. And that was one of the things that was absolutely wonderful. Another thing I remember is the movies. Oh, we could go to the movies on Saturday. And how we went was my friend, Doris Forehand, who lived down the way. She had an older sister, Margie, and an older brother, Donnie. And because Donnie was the oldest, he could take us to the movies. And we could walk down there. We had a long walk. Sometimes he rode an old bike, and one of us would ride on the bike with him, but it was a terrible ride. But it got us there. Now, we had to have a dime to get in. Now, how we got this money for the nickels and the dimes, we went around and picked up bottles, because at that time, there were deposits on bottles. And so you could take them in and get the deposit on the bottles. And that's how we made some money. And we were always scouring for a bottle laying around somewhere. I mean, we were like bees on honey with getting those bottles. So we'd go to the movie with a quarter. And I'll never forget this. We would get in for a dime. Now listen to this. We got popcorn and we got a drink, I think. And what it would have like a main movie. I always had a cowboy movie, and I remember my most favorite was Roy Rogers. Oh my God, I loved Roy Rogers. And when his wife Dale Evans came on, it kind of upset me, because I didn't want him to have a wife. I loved him and his horse Trigger. And then they would have a serial that would go week after week, and then they'd have another kind of movie, and then they would have the comics, and they'd have a whole afternoon of movie watching. And we absolutely could not wait until Saturdays to get to that movie. And so that entertained us. And another thing that we had, which we really liked, was there was an old man. He drove an old truck. And on the back of his truck, he had built like a little wood wagon. He had a little scale hanging there. And he had this huge garden somewhere. And he would go out and pick all these fruits and vegetables and put them on. They had bananas and he had beans and okra and you name it. It was on this truck. And so when they'd come through, all the mothers would go out and go through and see what they wanted to buy. And of course, we'd be standing around there begging them to buy the fruit, because the only sweets we had was what our mothers cooked. Believe it or not, if your mother cooked, you were in luck, because she always had a pie or, a cake or something that she had thrown together from scratch. So we would be out there asking her, oh, please get this, please get some bananas. And another thing I remember, my grandmother told me this. I love bananas. I still to this day love bananas. And she had bought a whole bunch of bananas, or somebody had brought them and put them in the kitchen. And my grandmother always took a nap in the afternoons, and I would beg her, can I have a banana? Can I have a banana? And so she said, yeah, go in there and eat one. Well, I ate one, and I went back, can I have another? She told me, she said, Gloria, just go in there and eat every one of them. She shouldn't have told me that. Because I went in and ate every banana on there, and she was furious with me. Oh, my gosh, but I don't blame her. And I don't even know if I had a stomachache or not. Probably not, because my stomach was like iron. I don't know. I could eat stuff like that. Probably because they always gave you castoria or castor oil to clean you out. You always had to have a dose of castoria or castor oil to clean you out as a child. Why, I don't know, but it was a normal thing for all of us kids to have to go through, and it was horrible. I can tell you that right now. Another thing that I remember well was they would come in from the fields with a watermelon, and they would take it and lower it down into the well, because the well water was cold. It was icy cold, and it was delicious. It was right out of the earth. There was nothing, no pollution in it. And they'd lower it into that well, and then they'd bring it out, and they'd bring a big salt shaker out, cut that baby wide open, cut it into slices, hand it to all of us kids with a salt shaker, and we were in heaven. Absolute heaven. That was a novelty to us. Another thing that I remember distinctly as a child was ice cream. They made ice cream. My uncle had an old ice cream maker, and he'd bring it out there on Sundays or holidays or whenever the family was gathering, and they'd get all the ingredients and put it in. Then they had the ice around it. Now, you had to keep the ice in there, otherwise it would not make the ice cream. And the bad part of it was you had to churn it. There was no electricity out there when I was a child. We didn't know what electricity was. Are you kidding? Everything was done by hand. We churned the milk making butter by hand. We churned the ice cream. And my uncles would take turns, because it was very hard to turn that ice cream churn with the ice in it and everything. So it had to be the guys that kept the thing going. And pretty soon, I remember distinctly, I knew when the end was near, because they would bring out, my aunts or my mother or whoever would bring out the chopped up fruit and to put in the ice cream and churn it all up. And that's how we knew it was all ready. And we would all be waiting with such anticipation. You have no idea, waiting for something like that, and how delicious it was once we put it in our mouths. And we ate it really slow, because we wanted it to last. Because once it was gone out of the churn, that was it. And there was a whole bunch of us there that was eating ice cream, homemade ice cream. Another thing that I remember distinctly is Christmas. Now, you have to understand, we only got gifts on our birthdays and Christmas. We did not get gifts all year long like kids get today. And anything else we got, we had to earn and get our allowance and put it together and buy it. So Christmas, I remember the Macon Telegraph would come out every day, and it would be delivered to the house. And I think 10 days before Christmas, they put a little square in the very bottom on the front page that says 10 days till Christmas, 9 days till Christmas, 8 days till Christmas. And I remember getting that paper, bringing it in, opening it up, and looking to see how many days it's left till Christmas. And when we got down to 3, 2, 1, it was wonderful. And another thing I remember, we didn't tell my sister that there was no Santa Claus until way, way later on. I'm sure she knew already. But I remember one night she didn't want to go to sleep. So we put her in my bed. I'm laying there talking to her and everything. And we had no idea how to get her in bed. And so I go out and I tell my stepfather, I say, we've got these bells. Go outside and ring it. And I'll tell her that Santa Claus is going over the house, but he's not going to stop until she goes to sleep. So he does that. He goes by the window, ding, 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 ding. My sister's eyes get wide open. I mean, she was so excited. I said, Mary Ruth, Santa Claus is up. Oh my God, Santa Claus is coming. Oh my God, she's not going to stop here until you go to sleep. Oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? She laid her head down on that pillow and she was asleep in just a few minutes. Or either if she wasn't asleep, she was playing a really good job of it. And I can tell you that now, that was a memory in my life that I'll never forget, was her with her eyes wide open. And of course I was 8 years older than her, so I was kind of like a babysitter, you know. We didn't have anything in common. She had all her little friends on the street. I had my friends in high school, so we didn't have much in common. But I loved her more than anything. I couldn't, you know, I was happy to take care of her and watch her when my mom and dad were gone. And it was a real blessing. And even today, she is one of my best friends. I'll have to say that. She's a wonderful person, and I love her dearly. Mary Ruth, I love you. So these are some of the things that I remember out of my childhood that none of you, some of you have experienced. Some of you haven't. I can't even imagine. There was no grocery stores. You didn't go in with a cart. You had a butcher down the street. You had people that sold little things. But mainly the things that you bought was sugar and flour, and, you know, lard was made from the hogs that were killed and put in the smokehouse, and they were very self-sufficient. I was totally impressed. And you know what? I've kind of gone back to those old ways of living so simply. And so this is going to be my chapter 10 today. And I hope that y'all have enjoyed it and reminisced a little bit about the things that I loved about my childhood. And once again, these are the things that I carry with me. These are the things that are dear to me. I don't dwell or wallow or fret over anything that was negative or something. I've rid my life of that. I've rid my thoughts of that. I've rid my soul of that. The only thing I have now is wonderful memories like I carry with my children. You know, they're in my heart, they're in my mind, and this is what I have outside of my duffel bag to carry through my life, the rest of my life with me. And I'll be honest with you, it's a wonderful, simplistic living that I'm doing, and I hope that sharing my life with you will help you to maybe understand and grasp that everything is temporary. You will get through it. And the main thing is that you're a wonderful person, that you're very important in your own life. And you and that person in the mirror is the most important person in your life, because remember, you're the only one that can't die and leave you today. You got to think about it. So treat yourself good. And you know my message, be kind, be loving. And next week, let's see, where am I going to go next week? I think I just got married, was pregnant, sick as a dog. And so I'll catch up from there, and chapter 11 will start again in my life. And once again, now you got to understand, we're getting to the good part. We're getting to the crazy part. Later on down the line, probably about chapter 15, 16, I don't know, somewhere along in there, it'll get a little bit wild and crazy. But you know what? I look back now, and it made me who I am today. It made me the person that I am today, because I don't think if I had not gone through any of those experiences, that I would not maybe have the compassion and the empathy that I have for mankind today and all beings on the planet. And I just want to remind every one of you how much I love you, how much I appreciate you following me. And stay tuned next Thursday at 1 o'clock for chapter 11. I love y'all. Bye-bye.